Welcome to A to Z Tales. This is a story about how hard work, patience, and care can change not only a garden, but a person's life. In a quiet village surrounded by green hills and golden fields, there lived an old farmer named Ravi. He had worked on his land since he was a young man. His hands were strong, his heart was patient, and his eyes carried years of wisdom. Ravi had two sons, Arun and Kiran. They were twins, but very different in nature. Arun was active, curious, and always ready to try. Kiran was clever but lazy, often finding excuses not to work. One day, when Ravi grew old and weak, he decided it was time to teach his sons a final lesson, one that no book could explain. One bright morning, Ravi called his sons to the front yard. The morning sun touched the trees and the smell of soil filled the air. "Arun, Kiran," he said with a smile, "I have a gift for both of you." The brothers looked at each other, wondering what it could be. Ravi led them to the edge of their farmland. Two small plots of land stood side by side. Each was the same size, dry, empty, and waiting. "My sons," Ravi said softly, "this land is yours. Each of you will take one plot. You may grow whatever you wish. What you plant and how you care for it will decide what you harvest." Arun's eyes shone with excitement. "Thank you, Father, I'll start today." Kiran scratched his head. "But Father," he said slowly, "the soil looks dry, and the sky hasn't given rain in weeks. Maybe we should wait until the season changes?" Ravi smiled gently. "The land gives to those who give to it," he said. "Start when your heart is ready. The land will show who you are." He walked away, leaving his sons to think about his words. Arun began that very day. He took a hoe and started breaking the dry soil. The sun was hot and sweat rolled down his face, but he smiled as he worked. He dug small holes and planted seeds, a mix of corn, beans, and flowers. He carried buckets of water from the well one by one to make sure the seeds were wet. Each morning before sunrise, he checked the soil, pulled out weeds, and spoke to his plants as if they were friends. "Grow strong," he whispered, "and I'll grow with you." Kiran, on the other hand, walked past his land and sighed. "The soil is too hard," he muttered. "The rain hasn't come. Why should I waste my time now? When the weather changes, I'll start." Days passed, weeks went by. Arun's hands became rough, but his plants began to sprout, tiny green leaves pushing through the earth. He smiled proudly. Kiran watched from a distance and laughed. "Look at you, brother," he said. "You work like a donkey, but what if the rain never comes? All your effort will go to waste." Arun only smiled. "At least I will know I tried." A month later, the sky darkened and heavy rain finally came. The drops danced on the roofs and the earth drank happily. Arun ran to his garden and saw how the rain washed his plants clean. The soil became soft and the plants stretched upward. Kiran also ran to his plot, excited. "Now's the time," he shouted. He quickly grabbed seeds and threw them across the field without care. Then he went inside to rest, feeling satisfied. "I'll have a garden like my brother soon," he told himself. But things didn't go as he imagined. Arun continued to care for his plants daily. He watered them when the rain stopped. He pulled out weeds before they could grow tall. He protected the small plants from insects and birds. Every day, he noticed small changes: new buds, stronger stems, colorful flowers. The field looked alive, like a painting filled with hope. Kieran, however, didn't visit his land often. After planting his seeds, he waited for nature to do the rest. The rain will handle it, he thought. But weeds grew faster than his plants. Insects began to eat the roots. Soon his field looked messy and wild. When he saw it, he frowned. "This soil is useless," he complained. "I should have known." One afternoon, their father visited both plots. He looked at Arun's green garden first. He smiled, touching the strong plants gently. Then he walked to Kieran's plot, full of weeds, broken stems, and dry patches. Ravi said nothing. He only nodded and walked away. That silence said more than any words. Months passed. The rainy season ended and the sun returned with its golden heat. Aaron's plants were now tall, full of fruit and flowers. Birds visited his garden. Bees buzzed from one flower to another. Villagers passing by often stopped to admire the sight. "Aaron," they said, "your land is a blessing. You've worked magic here." Aaron smiled humbly. "It's not magic," he said. "It's care." Meanwhile, Kieran grew more frustrated. His land looked worse than ever. The weeds had taken over everything. The few plants that had grown were weak and pale. He sat by the field and sighed. "Why does nothing work for me? I did what my brother did, didn't I?" But deep inside, he knew the truth. He had not done the same. He had waited, blamed, and expected results without effort. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Ravi called his sons again. The light turned orange and the air was calm. "My sons," he said, "you both started with the same soil. You both had the same seeds. Yet one field is full of life and the other full of weeds. Do you know why?" Harun said quietly, "Because we treated the land differently." Ravi nodded. "Exactly. The land gives back what we give it. It grows what we plant, whether it's seeds of life or seeds of laziness." He turned to Kieran. "My son, your garden is not the problem. The soil is not bad. The rain did come. The only thing missing was you." Kieran looked down, ashamed. Ravi placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your garden shows who you are inside. When you plant care, patience, and hard work, you harvest success. When you plant excuses, you harvest regret." Kieran's eyes filled with tears. "I understand now, Father," he said. "I was waiting for the world to change when I should have changed myself." The next morning before sunrise, Kieran woke up early for the first time in months. He went to his plot, pulled out the weeds, and worked until his hands hurt. Arun saw him and walked over. "Need help, brother?" Kieran smiled weakly. "Maybe just a little." They worked together, turning the soil, planting new seeds, and watering carefully. Each day, Kieran showed up, no matter how tired he was. Slowly, his garden began to change. The weeds disappeared and new shoots appeared. Sometimes he felt impatient, but he remembered his father's words. "The land gives back what we give it." He learned to wait, to trust, and to work without expecting quick results. After weeks of care, small green leaves covered his field. Birds began to visit. The same villagers who once shook their heads now smiled as they passed by. "Good work, Kieran," they said. "Your land is alive again." He nodded proudly. "It's not just the land. I'm alive again, too." By the end of the year, both brothers' fields were rich and colorful. Their father watched with joy as the two gardens stood side by side, one built from consistency, the other from redemption. At harvest time, Aaron gathered his crops early in the morning. Kieran joined him later, both smiling as they worked together. Ravi sat under a tree, watching with quiet pride. "You've both learned," he said. "A garden is more than soil and seeds. It is a mirror of the one who tends it." He pointed to the horizon where the sun rose again. "Remember, my sons, your garden grows what you plant, just like your character. You cannot harvest honesty if you plant lies. You cannot reap peace if you sow anger." The brothers bowed their heads, taking his words deeply to heart. Time passed. The old farmer eventually grew too weak to work, and his sons took full care of the land. Hartun became known across the village for his strong work ethic and kind heart. Kieran, once known for laziness, became a mentor to young farmers. He often told them his story, how his own neglect turned into wisdom. He would say with a smile, "Your garden outside is a reflection of your garden inside. Take care of both, and life will take care of you." People respected both brothers. The land that once divided them now united them. Every harvest season, they sat under the same tree with their father, remembering the lesson that had changed their lives. One day, a young boy from the village came to Kieran. "Uncle," he said, "I've planted seeds, but they don't grow well. The soil must be bad." Kieran smiled. "Maybe, but tell me, do you water them every day?" The boy shook his head. "No, sometimes I forget." "Do you pull out weeds?" "No, it's hard." Kieran placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. "Then it's not the soil, my boy, it's your care. Remember, the garden grows what you plant, not just in the ground, but in your habits too." The boy nodded slowly, understanding. As Kieran watched him walk away, he smiled. He had once been that same boy, blaming the world instead of learning from it. What about you? If your life were a garden, what would you be planting each day, excuses or effort? Take a moment to think. What kind of person do you want your garden to show the world? If you enjoyed this story and want to read more simple English motivational stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel AZ Tales like this video. Share it with a friend who needs inspiration. Moral of the story: your garden grows what you plant, just like your character. Plant effort. Water it with patience. Protect it with kindness. And one day, you'll harvest the life you dreamed of.